What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Writers. We are a Kamen Rider review podcast, and today on the show we are going to talk about Kamen Rider zeztz, episode number 4. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
Happy Fat Bear Week's almost over.
All right, explain Fat Bear Week to me, because I know that you sent the link in chat, and I specifically didn't click on it. So you can explain it to me fresh. I'm coming in with fresh eyes and fresh ears, and I want you to tell me.
So, a while ago, like when all the nature live cams started picking up of like, hey, I live in a full-blown city where the most animal I see is a pigeon outside cooing and screaming like an idiot. When all the animal webcammy live stream things became popular, there's a national park in Alaska that I'll assume this is either like prime mating season or prime, like, we're going to eat as much as possible to get fat before hibernation time starts for the bears because of the water, all the fish there, whatever. So it's turned into a thing where, like, now we celebrate Fat Bear Week, which is basically the live cams are as busy as popular with bears that they already have tagged and everything. And you basically just watch the bears splash around in the water, eat some fish, do big fat bear things.
It's just watching the live stream. I also found voting. People are voting for their favorite fat bear.
You can vote for your favorite fat bear because basically the reserve in Alaska, let's see what's it called. It is the Katmai National Park in Alaska. The bears run through the Brooks River. But basically, they take pictures of the bears for real, not on the live stream all year. And then you have to look at the last picture they took of the bear compared to the recent ones of how much fatter the bear got. And then with that information, you say like, wow, this is the best chubby fat bear of all the bears. Like I just sent you one in the message. These are 3 months apart, 2 months apart. But number 602, as an example, he bulked up.
That's a fat bear.
He's fat and ready for winter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all it really is. You're basically just clicking on pictures of bears and saying, I like this bear better. He's super fat.
Oh, I'm watching one of the, I guess, the live cam. Yeah, this is live. And they can move the camera. Like they just centered the bear on camera. That seems way better than most of the live cams that I've seen in my life before.
Did you ever watch I can't think of what canal it is. There's like a water lock in like Sweden or Denmark or somewhere over that direction where I think it's sturgeon. The fish come up to the lock and they get like down to the next level of the river. Uh-huh. And there's a person whose whole job is when they see the fish at the little lock, they press the button to open the door for the fish to let all the fish through because to help protect them from predators and stuff. But there's a live stream of that. And all you kind of see is like dark, murky abyss. But sometimes you see fish swim by. And that animal live stream website, you're actually supposed to click on the doorbell button so that the person working the lock knows that there are fish down by the door. So they open the door for the fish.
That's so cool. You're helping.
Yeah. Or you're annoying the shit out of somebody by pressing the doorbell all the time. But I feel like you have to be a very specific type of person to actually want to sit there and do that at this point.
Yeah, that's true. That's cool. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's awesome. I can watch 4K bear cam. Like it's crazy. You know, like if you think back just a few years, like the live like 24/7 webcam thing was like, you know, 360p and it would update every 5 seconds or something. You basically watching a slideshow of images, and now you can just watch 4K constant live streams of bears, or you can ring the fish doorbell. The times we live in, Toby, are truly impressive. Yeah.
So to clarify the fish doorbell, it's the Netherlands, and it's called Visterbell, which I'm sure translates to like water doorbell, fish doorbell, something. The fish are gone until March 2nd of next year at this point. But if you want to watch like the year wrapped, like Spotify does, but fish cameras, you can do that on their website now still.
That's awesome. These are some cool looking fish.
Yeah, the world's a crazy place. You can literally not leave the house and see so much stuff. It's wonderful.
That is true. I always talk about that in terms of like learning things, right? Like we live in such a crazy times that like I can come and sit down in front of my computer and literally learn anything that I want in the entire world. Like learn how to do something, right? Maybe I'm not an expert at it right away, but like if I want to learn a skill, I literally have it at my fingertips at a moment's notice. And that is a wild concept based on kind of like where the world has been up until like literally the last 25 years or so of internet connectivity.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like in general, I'm gonna preface it with I know it's a personality quirk where I just need to know the right answer. It must be like I think it's like coded to the me liking the trivia stuff. But like over the years, whenever people like I'm around friends or having a conversation, it's basically hey Toby, Google that for me, or hey Toby, like whatever. And it's really because I just want to know the right answer. And even if I never retain it, like the fact that I can just look things up and can like give a response always feels good. But to that learning thing, like, do you think you've learned anything productive from the internet?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have any
For
examples?
Sure. This is a silly one, but like one I was just looking at literally before we hopped on this call, was I've done this before. I was looking at it again of how to tie like knots. Like I was looking at tying knots. So like I have a backpack.
So you can probably get rid of your Velcro shoes.
I can get rid of my Velcro shoes so I can learn knots. Yeah. No, I have like a backpack where I have like it has like a top handle on it. And both to like make it a little bit more unique so I know it's my backpack when I see it, and to just like give it a little more bit more padding. Like I tied like a paracord basically wrap around that top handle. So like I looked up how to do that, learned the knot that I needed to be able to do it, and like tied it. So I have this like cool yellow handle on top of my backpack. So I learned how to do that. That's the thing that comes to mind. And I was just looking up again. I was looking at how to tie a lanyard in the same fashion. So I've learned like those types of skills. I learned how to crochet by watching videos online, and I'm like decent-ish at that. Yeah, so things like that. A lot of like using complicated programs I've learned, like anything to do with like audio. I've definitely have just like watched a lot of videos and learned how to do it. Video editing is the same way. A lot of video watching to figure out how like Final Cut works, for example. So yeah, I think I've learned some productivity based things there.
Okay, yeah, so you're definitely doing way better than I do. Like for an example, today, I made a joke / truth / reality of if I really wanted to put on my own concert, like ha ha ha, how much do I need to win in a stupid sports bet to be able to just be like, I want to have the concert I want to have. I don't really need like people coming to it. It's basically like me doing like dream wish fulfillment of how much does this actually cost.
Oh, to like to get the bands that you want to be there and stuff.
Yeah, like ballpark. I was like, how much do I actually win? So of course, like one of my favorite enablers, AI'd it for me. And they did a breakdown of like these bands probably cost this. This is marketing. This is this. So through the power of learning today, I learned that ballpark. I could probably get like 4 Japanese bands I like to come play a show here for like $300,000.
Okay.
And because of this great enablement and like, ha ha ha, now you just have to talk to the bands. Like, oh, like everyone has agents, just talk to their agents. I found the agencies for one of the band and I emailed them today. And I was like, just out of curiosity, like you obviously don't have to tell me or respond to this, but how much would it actually cost for me to book this band? And I'm anxiously waiting to see if they actually enable me even more. So I think like the worst part of the internet itself and learning things is it really just enables all my best ideas.
That's awesome. I love this. I feel the same way about the internet, but like it's enabling anything, and you can make it positive or negative, but like you can just do so many things. I feel like with the internet. Speaking of people who have a lot of money just deciding to like book their own thing, like wrestling actually has that. And the people that do it are called money marks, which is like a derogatory term that wrestlers use to talk about these people. But yeah, it'll be people who either will like have their own promotion, or they'll just like they'll become friends with someone who has like a wrestling promotion, and they will pay essentially to sponsor matches. So it'll be like, hey, I have a lot of money and I want to see like so and so versus so and so. I'll give you the money to go get those two people and put them on your next show, and just so I can see it. And that's 100% a real type of person. And I've met these people, and it's just a wild thing that people spend money on, but they do.
Yeah, and it's absolutely what I was shooting for. I was like, in my heart of hearts, like, this is obviously pure disposable income, money I'll never see. I was like, how possible is this? And then even when like the numbers were presented to me, like, oh, well, marketing is going to cost you like $25,000-$30,000. I was like, no. Marketing cost me $0 because this is not for anybody else other than me. So I was basically like talking my way out of the cost that I would have known if not for the power of AI helping us create the ultimate Toby concert.
That sounds wonderful. I would attend, and I would pay you upwards of $20 for a ticket. So you can
no one's coming. That's not the point. No one's coming because
I'm not allowed to come. You wouldn't invite me to your ultimate Toby concert?
I don't know.
How dare you?
I might live stream it, but again, like I'm not marketing that I'm live streaming it. It's just so I can like tape it. It's just so I have a recording proof of my $300,000 project.
I love the idea that you would spend $300,000, you'd get bands in, and then you would just go live like on a Twitch account that you haven't used for years, just without any fanfare. Just like it just happens.
Yeah, I need that. I need that VOD because if I'm working this hard on pulling this off, I definitely
Yeah, you gotta have the recording.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna need a lot of money to pull this off, and I think the only way that we can make that happen
is our sponsor, DraftKings.com.
No, far worse. Is if we listen to our friend Carl, who sent us in an email this week. So,
okay,
Carl has some ideas for us. So we'll go ahead and read that email now since it relates. But the email address is cast@commonwritersucks.com. Once again, cast@commonwritersucks.com. And yes, this email comes in from Carl. You may have heard about Carl on one of the last couple episodes of the podcast. And Carl writes in with some business ideas, we'll say. Some good, some bad. So we'll see how it goes this week. Carl says, "Hi there. Hope you're all doing well this week. After last week, me and my team of comers and writers..." Okay, Carl. All right. I need to stop there for a minute because you
read it, right? Like the words came out of your mouth.
Yeah. So that's true. You know what? I'm at fault here. There has to be some that is a single entendre. There has to be some level of like thinly veiled pun. We can't just call people comers. Okay, that's like. I think that we should establish that as a baseline. Unless it is a pun reference in some way, we can't just be like, like we can't just say the dirty words, I guess, right? There has to be something behind it.
Yeah.
All right. Comers and writers took Toby's invention and threw together a marketing idea along with a proof of concept and product packaging. We reworked the previous Carl's Valen's Viagra due to copyright issues to make the new product. An image of the product mock-up should be attached below. And yes, Carl has included I'll paint a word picture here for everyone. If you've ever gone to a gas station and you've seen gas station dick pills, it's that, except there's a common writer on it.
Yeah, that was exactly my sales pitch last week. It's the best way to do it.
And that is exactly what Carl has created. It's called Henshin in the Bedroom. You and Toby roll out a cheeky side hustle, Henshin in the Bedroom, a line of over-the-counter rider-themed performance enhancers sold at gas stations, truck stops, and corner bodegas. Marked as transformation supplements, the pills are branded to look like miniature Henshin belts, complete with flashy foil packaging that screams tokusatsu energy. Henshin in the Bedroom because justice never pulls out when things get hard. See, that's at least a double entendre there.
You worked for that one.
Yeah, right. I mean, we got there and it paid off. Our team was impressed by Toby's genius, so impressed by Toby's genius that we want to pick his brain for another business idea.
I like this as a team now, just for the record. Because in the old days, Carl seemed like a single entity, and now it sounds like we are Borg, but Carl.
Clearly, the business ventures are going well for Carl. He's able to hire a team. He's got a whole firm behind him now.
Perfect.
Carl says we've set the groundwork, but we've left a few blanks, Mad Lib style, for Toby to fill in.
I'm ready.
So this is a new product idea, and I'm gonna run through the Mad Lib with you, and then we'll see what this product is gonna be. So, Toby, first up, I'm going to need an adjective from you.
Beautiful.
Okay. Now I need a costume.
Stitch.
Okay. A piece of clothing.
Does a brand count, or does it need to be like just clothing?
This is like it's referencing specifically like an article of clothing. So if the brand if they only sell hats, I think that would be fine. If they sell a ton of stuff, I would say be more specific.
Okay, then I'm gonna say Jankos.
Okay, that seems good. Now I need another adjective.
I'm trying not to make it too blatantly pervy.
Sure. Yep.
I'm gonna say delicious.
Okay, I like that. A verb now, please.
Hensioning.
An object or a device.
Gacha capsule machine. Well, however you want to phrase that to make that fit into the gap.
An adjective again?
Jesus Christ.
This is a long one. Yeah. We're about halfway through.
Spicy.
Okay. A plural noun.
Legos.
Another plural noun.
Records.
Another plural noun.
Bottles.
And another plural noun. The last one in this little series.
Puzzle pieces.
Okay. Next one is a dangerous event, and I need 2 dangerous events actually.
Like a singular word or like an activity?
This would be like an activity.
Like falling off the roof? Is that an event?
Yeah.
Falling off the roof.
Okay, got that one. And one more.
Drowning in fire.
Drowning specifically in fire.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. One more adjective.
Bubbly.
Okay, we're in the home stretch now. I need a verb.
Sleeping.
A noun.
Door.
A verb.
Sneezing.
And finally, a plural noun.
Common riders.
Bringing it all back around.
You can just do riders.
Riders. Okay. Here we go. This is our product launch called Heroic Hearts. You and Toby launch Heroic Hearts, the first wedding planning service where your nuptials are a full-on beautiful spectacle. Couples don Stitch costumes instead of Jinkos and exchange vows while performing delicious henshin sequences down an aisle that is henshining like a gacha capsule machine. Guests are armed with spicy Legos that trigger records, bottles, and puzzle pieces every time someone says, I do. Liability waivers are mandatory for falling off the roof and drowning in fire, but the payoff? Weddings that transform ordinary ceremonies into bubbly, unforgettable Kamen Rider themed events. Sleeping your door, sneezing your riders. Heroic Hearts.
That took a while. That took wild turns because it started like very solid and sounded like someone actually speaking English, and then it kind of like fell apart in the middle a little bit. Where it was just like the word salad that Mad Libs turns into, and then the ending was pretty good again. It sounded like a real business plan, and then it fell back apart again.
Sleeping your door, sneezing your riders is my favorite part. I think the idea of sleeping your door is a fun concept. Like, what does that mean? Because it sounds like either you're sleeping on a door or you are putting a door in a headlock and you're sleeping it.
You gotta put the door to sleep.
Yeah, I think that's what that one is.
Since you have an impressionable person in your household that's very young, instead of like telling her to close the door, just tell her to like sleep the door or put the door to sleep, and we can just teach people that sleeping the door means closing a door, we can make it into like actual like usable phrase.
Ooh, I like that. I have done similar things like that with her, where I introduce not necessarily fake things, but like very clearly concepts that are unique to my liking. You know, maybe a little bit too much of like talking about kayfabe, things like that. Um, Actually, there's a great story about her just the other day, where I was exerting my fatherly influence. She was telling me at bedtime about this boy who had called her names a couple times, and specifically he was calling her poopy head.
Oh
So
yeah.
we went through all the normal like hey, tell him to stop, and it's like, okay, well I tried and he still does it. I'm like, okay, well maybe like tell a teacher if he's calling you names. And then of course there's an excuse why she couldn't, right? The teacher maybe is across the room, and it's happening right now. And then when the teacher walks over, she doesn't hear it. And so we went through all these scenarios, reasons why it didn't work. So then I was like, all right, here's what you do. Here's what you do. I had her like lean in real close. I'm like, well, next time he says it to you, you look him in the eye and you say, I'm rubber and you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you can tell him that. I said, he's going to be devastated. So I now am the source of introducing like 30-year-old, 5-year-old tech into the kindergartens for good comebacks. And this is my source now.
What happens when that kid cries from this barn burner of an insult, and now you're the bad one? Or
Well, I heard the update today. She did bust it out on him. And apparently his only retort was to just like say it back to her. But she explained that he got confused about the order and he had to say it really slow. And I'm like, oh, he's devastated. He's chopped right now. Like you won that interaction.
You should look the other direction. And like, because you just said chopped, you should just tell her to call him like chopped huzz or something.
Chopped huzz is yeah. I was gonna start with something relatively tame, and then we're gonna ramp it up if he continued to ramp up the name calling. But I didn't want to destroy the kid right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? I introduced something pretty low level.
That's nice, yeah.
Anywho, Carl wraps up the email actually with one last thought. He says, lastly, unrelated to everything else, I know you all talked about wrestling before on previous episodes. Did you happen to see the Luchador sponsored event the Pokemon Company did recently? As someone who's not into wrestling or Luchador activities even, I couldn't deny how sick it was. Yeah,
Josh
we did
showed me the pictures and looked cool.
Yeah, so it was CMLL, I believe, doing kind of a joint event with Pokemon in I guess in promotion of the Pokemon like ZA Legends, whatever that gets called. And yeah, so some of the wrestlers that are like big mainstay wrestlers in that company dressed up like Pokemon instead, and they were great. Like the costumes were like really, really well done, and the entire event and ring and everything was themed in Pokemon and stuff. For if you're gonna do like a corporate sponsorship, this was like a cool way to do it for sure. And yeah, it was a lot of fun seeing all the pictures and stuff from that for sure. All right, we have a couple more emails, but I think we'll save those maybe until the end. But we will take a little pause here and tell you about the Patreon, because we do have a Patreon and we would love for you to check it out. Patreon.com/thecommentwriters is where you can find that. And to sign up, it's just $3 a month, and you get access to all of our bonus content that we have ever put out. We typically put out a couple pieces a week, watching through various tokusatsu shows. Right now, we are watching Don Brothers and Goes Yuger. So current Sentai and a couple years old Sentai. So if you've ever wondered what our thoughts on Sentai is, you can check that out on the Patreon right now. Obviously, you hear our Common Writer thoughts every single week. And signing up now, you get access to everything we've ever done in bonus content. So our entire watch through of X-Aid, for example, our entire watch through of Black Sun. We've watched a lot of movies on there. We've watched Boon Boomjer. So tons and tons of stuff that is up there available when you sign up. You also, if you aren't sure you want to spend the money just yet, we have the first 3 episodes of all the series that we've watched up for free. You can follow the Patreon for free and check those out. That's a lot of content, even just for free there. So Check it out if you would, patreon.com/the comment writers. And yeah, you can sign up and get access to the Discord too, which is super fun. We love hanging out with everybody in there. But yeah, patreon.com/the comment writers. And with that, Toby, we will jump into discussing Kamen Rider today. Case number 4, episode 4 of Zeztz. And this, I think, really felt like the first real episode of Zeztz, I think. I don't know if you had that same feeling.
I know, like, we kind of made, like, last week we joked about it, like, yeah, like, there hasn't been an intro yet, there hasn't been all the things. I think for all the comments, at least I had, of the first 3 episodes of it set the playing field or the world or the way the show works, whatever. I think this episode did a good job of saying, like, hey, look, these are the established rules, and now we're going to add, like, 1 or 2 more little quirks in here as well, just so we can keep going with this. But, like, this definitely felt like the first real episode-ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% agree. It felt like we were like, okay, yeah, we established the world in the first 3 episodes, kind of that long extended pilot. And this one is like, now how do we use those rules to morph it into, you know, the beginning of our sort of monster of the week, more like traditionally framed episode. And not to say that it was like, it was bad in that it was more traditional, but like if you felt like the structure was a little bit more there in terms of like what we're going to be doing week to week for a little while. Obviously there were still twists and turns that were happening and things we were learning to progress the overall story. But this was really our first taste of like a normal monster of the week progression. And the beginning of that was a new mission, which is protect the VIP bride. And we find out, yeah, we kind of start in the middle of clearly the dream world, who is in super cool spy mode, and he is playing a priest at a wedding rehearsal. He kind of gets like a strange feeling. We get to see Nox outside with the black feathers, the kind of mysterious bad guy that we don't know much about, and obviously he's summoning a new nightmare. And then Nem pops up in the church, and Nem is our wedding planner for today. So we're continuing the theme where Nem is involved in these dreams, but like knows that they're dreams and like knows everything about Baku, and she's playing a role too. So she's this sort of like other character that's very similar to Baku in the sense that they're like they're on this other level of understanding about what's happening.
Yeah, like it was definitely way more fun where, like, we'll call it the first 3 episodes as one big episode just for sake of conversation. Like, it was harder to tell then how they're going to keep doing them being the girl of the dreams kind of deal.
Yeah.
But this time was really good because they basically introduced themselves to each other. When she walked over and saw Baku, she was like, oh, you're a priest today, I see. And he was like, hey, Nem, how are you? What's your outfit? And they're actively addressing each other in the dream world. Almost like they know they're both, like, I mean, I'll use the word actors. They know they're both acting in each other's dreams, where they're just double checking with each other now, like, oh, you're here again. Nice to see you. Okay, yep, it's Friday on the outside. Oh, you're a priest today? Cool. I'm a wedding planner. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Ha ha ha. Like,
yeah.
And
that's all like, exactly the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like she seemed stoked to see him, and she thought it was funny that he was a priest, or at least she wasn't grumpy about it. And then when he asked what she was like, I'm a wedding planner. I'm so excited to get to help people like plan their special day together. And she seemed super into her dream state this time.
Yeah, she definitely did. I also really appreciated throughout this episode that she was very capable. Like she was helping Baku. Like she was in charge of evacuating when the nightmare shows up later. And I thought that was cool that she wasn't just this like damsel in distress that needs saving like we have seen her as in the past, but she was an active participant and like wasn't scared and stuff. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, if nothing else, she seems used to it by now because so far she was a damsel, she was a police chief. I think there was a third one in between there that I'm not remembering right now, and now we're a wedding planner.
Yeah, those are the ones I can remember. I don't know if there was. Can't remember if there's another one at this point or not, but she definitely will be changing a lot. That seems to be the theme here.
She's definitely changing a lot, and he was a priest, but he was still a secret agent priest.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's going to be a thing too, where like, yes, they can give him different roles, but he's still obviously always going to be the like 007, whatever you want to call him, because they even allude to it a bunch of times. Like, oh, make sure you're watching out for who the actual problem is. If you don't see him on the inside, we'll find him outside. Don't worry about it, kind of deal.
Yeah. And yeah, it fits in with all the spy aspect too. Like a big spy trope is going undercover, right? Putting on different disguises and stuff. So we'll probably see that from Baku, I would imagine, a lot.
And he's not the best at being smooth, I guess, or like undercovery, since he's a very distinct look in general. But he tries. He's doing the best he can.
The little hair pops up every time.
Yeah, stupid freaking hair thing again.
We find out that the bride's father is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So the assumption here at the beginning basically is that someone's gonna disrupt this wedding because it's gonna be like a rival of her father's or some reason. And pretty quickly, there's some nonsense that breaks out. Baku hears a scream. He runs over, and there's a guy pointing a knife at the bride and the groom, and he's looking pretty distressed. And Baku first is like, "Oh, is this guy, an enemy of your father's?" But no, the bride says he's actually a childhood friend of hers. So the at this point, Baku really, you would think, breaks his cover of being a priest because he does some ninja work and he uses a capsum and he gets really strong. He grabs the knife and like lifts him up in the air, like the bad guy up in the air all crazy. And then he ends up crushing the knife in his hand. So that it's just dust. And the groom at one point is like, "Thanks, father," which I thought was a pretty funny moment.
Yeah, that was good. And then it was cool in the, I guess we'll call it like the summary of that part of the dream, or after he took down the immediate threat kind of deal, he started talking and it sounded like he was falling asleep in his dream, which sounds backwards, but whatever. They do this really like basic but cool dream state wipe, I guess we'll call it. And he wakes up back in his room, like basically coming out of his dream. And it was kind of neat just because he didn't seem confused by it. He just took it as, okay, like mission 1 of my dreams complete for the day. I can go live normal life, and tomorrow when I go back to bed, I'll do more work. No big deal. And it feels very video game mission-y, I feel like.
Yep.
But it works. They're doing a good job with the, like, I guess keeping established dream world, real world. This seems like a little smarter or better or different way to go back and forth. Like last week, we saw him run to go to bed and just pass the hell out immediately.
Yeah.
And this time was cool. That was actually like he wasn't jerked awake. He wasn't startled out of his dream. He just basically like finished the checkpoint for the day and just kind of groggily got up and was like, "Oh, okay, I did my part. I'll try again tomorrow. No big deal."
Yeah. Yeah. This was, like last time I feel like I got a little confused about like, wait, when are we in the dream world and when are we not? Or like kind of what can happen in the dream world versus what can happen in real life. And it was much more clear this time. And I appreciated that. And you're totally right. He very much is like viewing the dream world as just a continuation or like sort of like the beginning point of his investigation. He wakes up and he can continue that more, and then he goes to sleep again, and it progresses the investigation further. So it's like two sides of the same coin, where he's trying to solve the mystery in the real world and as the agent in his dreams, which is cool. It feels very much to me like Assassin's Creed, like early Assassin's Creed, where
He was in the Animus.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, like I'm the cool secret agent when I'm in the Animus, and then I wake up and I'm Desmond, but I can still do some stuff, right? I can go talk to people and I can go investigate, and then I get back in the Animus and I'm back to my crazy, high flying, killing self. I think that's what it feels like we're heading towards with this show. Another
one of the things that I at least with help noticed between last week and this week. I don't remember us discussing it, but we might have. Another one of like the awake, asleep marker things is he always has those crazy bright contacts in when he's asleep.
Yeah,
compared
that's
to
true.
Normal day life, he just has normal brownish, blackish eyes. So we have again another marker of what side of the world are we on. And again, I feel like at some point down the road, obviously not early because they're still trying to lay baselines out, but I still feel like they're going to use all those little markers in some way at some point where everything is just supposed to be confusing. And we're going to have to notice things like, oh, his eyes are super bright. They're the yellowish, bluish versus just normal eyes and things of that nature.
It could be. I felt like they were like trying those tricks in the pilot, which is what made it a little confusing at times for me, here and there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get back to that where they try to confuse us. Because right now it feels like, at least with this episode, they're trying to make it very clear when we are in the dream world and when we're not. And this episode, it was clear 100% that there was like very, very delineated lines of sort of who was or kind of what mode we were in.
Yeah, especially if we're going to keep doing the, hey, the first day of the dream was kind of a mess, but now I can wake up and talk to Zero.
Yeah.
And I can check in with the boss while I'm awake, and we'll go from there, and I can get some updates. He'll help me sound out the situation. And then when I go back to sleep tomorrow night, I'll be ready now with extra information, and we can ride on.
Yep. It's a good structure, really. Like it's sort of like you can fit a lot of stories into that framework, right? It's very easy split up into sort of acts because of the sleeping. But he wakes up, as you mentioned, and he's pretty sure that this man with the knife is going to be the dreamer, the kind of source of the nightmare. He goes and tells Zero all about this, and we find out from Zero that it's possible that the dreamer was infected by the time that the other nightmare, the bomb nightmare, crossed over into the real world, and I guess he spread his little dream nightmare toxins and spread the virus.
Yeah, whatever the cool purple sky thing we saw last week was.
Yeah.
We're now using that as leverage as, oh yeah, more people are going to have problems now because one of them made it out and there's residual evil nightmare juice out there.
Which is obviously just a good explanation for how we're going to have a whole show now of a whole bunch of people having nightmares. you have to explain why that's going to be. But obviously Baku feels guilty. He should have stopped that guy in time. And he's all sad for a little bit. But while he's sad, Zero hands over some extra spy gear. So he gets like he gets like a camera, he gets like a sensor where you can like set it and it's like a motion sensor. And then he got a couple new capsims as well. Kind of both dealing with flying. So he has wings and then he can kind of control air with the new capsims that he gets.
I feel like this is the first time they showed it, the official hold all my henshin toys toy for this year.
Yep.
It just looks like a giant like pog tube that the little capsule balls pop into, and I was excited. Those toy sales are ready now. The kids saw it. They're like, "Wow, I need to organize all my capsims. Where can I get this?" And now we're good to go.
I found it kind of funny. So we know from the interview that we read last week or the week before, where we know that this was a season where they were sort of pushing back on the toys and wanting to feature them a little bit less and all that stuff. And we know that like a lot of that stuff got walked back because, hey, toy sales are kind of the reason we're here. But I found it funny that in this season where they were trying to sort of de-emphasize some of the craziness with the toys, that they focus so heavily on and this is the toy that you buy to hold all of your capsims. Because every season has one of those, like a thing that holds the gimmick items. But most of the time, in a lot of the seasons, you will just like see it in the background or you'll see the main hero use it, but they won't like really hammer home the point of like, this is a thing you can buy, kids. And I feel like here it was very much like, let me demonstrate how this fun toy works. You put all your things in it, it was pretty good.
I mean, at least from the ones I distinctly remember, of the ones we saw, Gotchard definitely had them using those hard plastic cases as the
they did flip those out a lot. Yeah, that's true.
And I think they had the little books for them too. But more than that, in my other favorite show, O's, they distinctly gave Ankh the "here's your presidential coin holder" book, his little like folder, and it was that he always pulled the coins out of. So it just feels like, depending on the way the item works, if they can find a good way to leverage it into the show, I feel like they do it more than just doing it to do it. Because like
that's fair. That's fair.
Because like Goes Yuger's thing, is basically a cheap plastic tray that holds all the rings in real life. And that's never been in the show. But like the O's coins, they always had to have a bunch to fly out. And because you can make that look more stylish, the holder of the henshin items got more TV time, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah, I think that it probably also makes sense to, like you said, the O's medals, like you're swapping those out a bunch in a fight. So they have to kind of have the source of that on hand. Where like in Gozyuger with the rings, like you're not changing them that often. Like they do swap them, but like not as quickly as O's does. And I think we're setting up here with Zeztz that like he's gonna swap through these capsules pretty fast because they're kind of singular power focused.
Like way more than
more akin to the O's medals, I think for sure.
Yeah, like when he starts using the wings and flying towards later in the episode, just because again, it's not actively changing suits all the time. Like last week when he cut the wires, he was just extra stretchy. I think for the way that they worked, the way the suit works this year, the character works, it's more so like Devil May Cry when you switch from sword to guns to something else. He just needs more of the fast switch kind of things. So I guess it makes more sense to just always carry your little orbs with you to go from like flying or like wings to stretchy to whatever else.
Yeah, totally. Moving on with the story, we get a brief scene where we find out that the two police officers, Fujimi and Nasuka, are not fired. the director of the police wants them to continue investigating black cases, but kind of in an unofficial capacity. So he's going to like slip them cases and let them work, but they're not going to be quite as maybe public facing as they had been. And Fujimi's very stoked about this news.
Yeah, like again, kind of like X-Files. It's, hey, I'll bring you the cases. You don't tell anyone anything. You just kind of do your stuff, but I'll keep you in the loop. Just handle what's going on here, pretty much.
Yep. Baku sees an old woman. He's with his sister. He sees an old woman. He's going to go help her with her bags. And as he's about to head to do that, a tree limb falls and nearly kills him. So his bad luck when he helps people continues to grow. And his sister like begs him, like, please only help people in your dreams. Like we're all gonna die.
Whenever you're nice in the real world, it all just goes to shit. That UFO is still coming.
Yeah, he's one day. Yeah. So Baku doesn't help the old woman, but he does recognize the person who does as the dreamer, the person who had the knife in his dream. So obviously, with that knowledge, Baku follows the man. He finds out that his name is Ippei, and he hears Ippei he overhears him talking to a friend in a restaurant about the marriage, basically. Like, oh, I can't believe she's getting married. I don't even know if she loves the guy, and on and on. And the friend is urging him to move on, obviously, and he doesn't seem like he wants to do that.
Yeah, it's basically the whole thing is, I guess, vaguely the one that got away or Ippei's first crush or something along those lines.
Yeah.
His friend had a hilarious line to me of, there's a fine line between determined and stalker, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, the friend was pretty good. He was like, listen, I know, but like, come on, man. you gotta move on. That whole scene felt very like Yakuza like karaoke parlor to me. Like those scenes where like the two characters would go and like sit at a bar and give each other shit for a while or something. It felt like that. So because Baku did such a good job investigating here, the Dreamer Zeros gives him some props. He's like, hey, like you clearly have been pretending in your dreams to be a secret agent this whole time. You're very good at it. All that experience has paid off.
You've learned the skills that I want you to learn, that we can keep moving forward both in asleepness and in awakeness.
Yep, exactly. Baku has, of course, he goes back to sleep. He has a dream again to continue his investigation. He's at the church. The wedding is beginning, and the bride's getting all ready. She's looking at herself in the mirror, and Baku kind of sets up some of his spy gadgets that he had around. He puts the little motion sensor outside, waiting for the nightmare or whoever to appear. So the wedding begins, and the nightmare does indeed appear, and this nightmare is kind of scary. Like it's like this crazy bird nightmare swooping down from like a red sky.
Yeah, it was pretty sick.
Yeah, it definitely is much more akin to Black Sun than to like Xane, for example. It's probably kind of as dark and scary as they could push it in mainline Common Rider, I would imagine.
Yeah, yeah. It
Um,
basically looked like, I guess he's like a raven or a crow, or whatever, or close enough. I think they did a really good job with his face. Almost looks like a plague doctor mask,
yeah,
but still
definitely.
like bird, and not full plague face kind of thing.
It's a cool mix, yeah, for sure. Everyone evacuates because Nim helps them out or attempts to evacuate. The Nightmare and Baku fight. They have their first battle inside the church, and then back in the real world, the two police officers are kind of investigating the black feathers inside the church. So there's a connection there then between real world and dream world where the actual fight is really happening.
I thought that was cool too, where there's, if it was like a ghost show, we call it like residual ectoplasm. If they're like, wow, the ghosts were here. But like the same kind of vibe of, while not everything comes over, there's still researchable, investigative traces where the cops are like, oh, there's definitely a nightmare around, and just means like the nightmare is just in the dream world, basically.
Yeah.
But he's still there, like he's leaving evidence of him being there. They vaguely figured out it was a giant bird or a bird
Mhm.
with black spooky feathers, blah blah blah. So I thought that was a nice touch of like, they did a good job this episode of, I guess we'll call it like showing how much we're gonna blur the lines together the whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just not two specific areas. This is all the same like linear plane, just two different sides of it, but pieces of one are always in the other kind of deal.
Yeah, I thought that this was super, super awesome. And for all the reasons that you just said, I like that it is, you get to see the gradual merging of the dream world with the real world. You get to see the gradual um, movement of the nightmare from dream to reality as like, yeah, things start to slip through. That's really cool. And also it makes it so the cops have something to do, right? You have these characters that I was wondering if they would just feel like bumbling idiots the whole time, but no, like they're actually like, they're on the case, they're investigating, they're not that far behind Baku, even though they can't go in the dream world. So that's cool that they have some sort of agency in this case because of these things. So I imagine next episode they probably get more involved as the investigation continues.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, obviously at some point, I feel like there's going to be the team up where they kind of, I'll assume they tell Baku more than Baku tells them of like, hey, when you do stuff on the other side, like we still see it. I
Yeah,
feel like he needs to know that what he's doing, there's still consequences of sorts, I guess we'll call it. But I feel like at some point he will need to realize that, oh, I fought the bird in the Sleepy Time Church, but the real life church is still seeing effects of what I'm doing. I need to watch better or watch more or whatever you want to call
true. During this fight, as we end the episode here, obviously he has to use the new wing capsum, and the way that comes up is the entire world turns upside down. Because again, we're in the dream, so it just rotates, and
it.
everything flips, and everything starts falling towards the sky, and he has to bust out the wings so that he can obviously fly around instead of just falling. This is like a little taste probably of like the craziness that they're going to do in the dream world, and I'm very here for it. Like they're not confined to at least some semblance of reality anymore, and they can just flip the world if they want to.
Yeah, it's normal dream reality. Shit just
Yeah,
happens.
which is awesome. Yeah, I love that we get to do that, but then also have the real world where we can go do real world battles and stuff too. So yeah, the nightmare, he gets to use his new capsum to battle the nightmare. And he had to use the wings to go catch the bride. She's falling out of the church because the gravity flipped. And then the episode is ending, and as the episode's ending, basically we realize that the dude is not the dreamer, the guy that we thought was the dreamer that had the knife. It's actually the bride who is the dreamer, the source of the nightmares. And we end with a classic, like, what? Why her? Why would she want to be attacked? Type of cliffhanger.
And the answer seems obvious. but
That she doesn't want to marry this dude, and she
yeah,
actually wants to marry the other guy. Yeah, I think that seems pretty clear. I
'cause,
think
especially with like because we said, or I think we said, but we'll say it now. It's like bad genie wishes when you don't specifically point out what you want.
yeah,
The mean genies just tweak it. So realistically, she's probably her dream is, man, I wish my first crush, Eve, would say something so that I don't get married,
yep,
or I have reasons to not get married, or whatever. But that's just like resolving as he's gonna try to stab my husband. He's gonna try to kidnap me for my wedding and but yeah, like because Baku was very very distinctly, oh my god, how could it possibly be her? What's going on? And obviously it helps to lead into next week's episode, but he's
yeah.
being a little too dumb about it right now.
Yeah, I found that that's my only negative so far. I think about all of Zeztz is that he is too dumb when we get to these moments, and it's happened twice now. This one again is ridiculous. Like, I get you have to build the suspense for the cliffhanger, but like he should be able to sort out her likely reasons at this point. And then it happened with the bombing too, when it's like, wait, the police officer that I just met is the source of the bombing dream. I can't believe it. Like again, like you should have pieced that together by the time we got there. Like he's playing
A little
a
faster.
little bit quicker. Yeah, he's playing like a little too dumb. And I guess I understand that this is early and this is all new to him and new to the audience. So like maybe he will get quicker on these things. But yeah, as of right now, it's a little bit like, yeah, we were all one step ahead of you. And I think it'll get very easy to predict if they keep this trope of like, who's the real dreamer? We have to track him down. I think it'll start getting very easy to predict who the dreamer is.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then the thing that happened this time too, that I'm gonna say, I'm gonna use the word concern, but it's not really concern. So the last 3 episodes, Suicide Bomber guy, whatever. Every time he did a big explosion or got a main target, I guess we'll call it, one of the doors opened. Obviously, the end of the third episode was the third door opened, the nightmare came out, blah, blah, blah. I don't know that I like that it seems like they're setting up for always being 3 episode arcs this time, with every episode being one of the doors opening.
Or the doors, yeah.
Because this one ended with, oh, the bride didn't fall. What's going on here? It can't be her dream that this guy's here. And then the first door like creaked open at the end of the episode. So obviously next week is going to continue the bride story. That would probably be the second door. And not that we're necessarily always going to do 3, but it just seems like they're pacing it at this point of episode starts, one of the doors have to open to make some sort of drama with it. And then episode 2 will probably have the second door because 2 doors isn't that bad. You just can't open the third. And then like the main battle point could always be the third door of, oh my God, don't let him open it again. Don't let this happen.
I do think we'll have a while until the third door actually opens because of how Baku reacted to infecting the public with the nightmare stuff. Like he was like so distraught about like his failure as a comic writer. So I don't think you could have him fail like that every case because I think he would just give up, as a person. But yeah, I totally think you're probably right. I think that they are setting these things up to be 3 episode arcs, which I'm fine with. It's better than 2 probably in a lot of cases. We'll get to learn more about the characters. Flesh some things out.
If they do stick with the 3s, at least it won't as dramatically feel like, hey, this ended on a huge cliffhanger, and then 2 minutes later, the next week is, hey, this problem's fixed. Don't worry about it now, and then going from there. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's true. I guess no matter what, if it does get pushed to 3s, it should feel a little bit better than last time, other than the doors opening, if they're going to make it that dramatic for 1 episode, 1 door.
Yeah. I mean, like, storytelling in 3 parts is much easier than storytelling in 2 parts as well. And that's from a structural place, right? You have room for your 3 acts and you have room for a natural story structure. So that probably is also helpful in the writing room, I would imagine too. Yeah, so that is the end of the episode. We do have a couple more emails, as I mentioned, so let's jump over to those because they are also about this episode and about zeztz. So once again, cast@commonwritersucks.com is the email address. Our first email comes in from Jordan, and Jordan has written in previously to give us some facts about O's and various other things. This time, Jordan is talking about zeztz, and Jordan says, I'm just going to jump right into this. We all know who Nox is by now, a mysterious man who seems to be stuck in between the dream world and the real world. We also know that he seems to be coordinating the nightmares somehow. My theory is that Nox used to be a special agent just like Baku, with maybe even Zero having been the one to approach him. He mentions Baku being in possession of something called a bright stone and how he has one too. I think bright stones are another name for capsims. But somehow, he is now stuck inside the dream world. Since the nightmares are able to enter the real world when they open someone's mind doors, Nox probably thinks he can hitch a ride back to reality if he helps them. I don't fully know if Nox is a real bad guy yet, especially not with the possibility that Zero is the true antagonist. Ooh, that's also a theory. Which would fit with the trope of secret agent's benefactor being the real villain. He may even become an anti-hero writer similar to Rakia last season. Next, I want to focus on Kamen Rider Zeztz himself and where his powers come from. In the trailer, Baku states that the nightmares should disappear from the world, but what if that's the source of his power? It probably is, considering that Kamen Rider is synonymous with the Cross of Fire, with the riders taking the power of their enemies and using them for good. Like Eiji uses the Greed's core metals, or Emu using the Gashets infected with the Bugster virus. I'm sure you've noticed that those little sprites in the capsims when Baku transforms. What if all of them actually used to be nightmares and Baku is actually inserting them into himself to power up, essentially turning himself into a nightmare? Zero might even be the one creating the capsims since he has so many and has no problem with Baku just getting with whatever one he wants. That's interesting.
That's a real deep thought path, and I'm here for it. That all seems pretty legit. He's effectively poisoning himself every time he does it, kind of deal.
Especially because we see it like flow through his veins, right? Like every time the veins pop up, and like it does feel as if it's like an injection.
I'm here for that one. I'm definitely here for that one.
Yeah. And lastly, I want to talk about the news of Kamen Rider Yez or Yez. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen the video, but someone hacked the zeztz driver, which they do every year, obviously, and found the sounds for Kamen Rider Yez. I have 3 candidates for Yez's identity so far. The first is Detective Tetsuya Fujimi, who's the male police officer. He's already involved with the black cases that I think it makes sense he would inevitably be able to transform and confront the nightmares directly. The next candidate is Nem. She is Japan's most popular idol, with advertisements and posters being everywhere. I think that's why she's able to enter people's dreams. With so much exposure to her, everyone has her on their mind. And yes, I'm saying that the Nem we keep seeing is the real one. And lastly, the only other person who could possibly be Yez is Nox. If my theory of him being an agent holds up, he might have even been able to transform into Yez before being trapped. He's been in the dream world for so long, he knows the way around better than even a lucid dreamer like Baku. All right. Those are awesome theories, Jordan. I'm on board with where you're going with all these, I think.
Even if you stole them, those are all good ones.
I was feeling today, watching this episode, that the way that they were framing Nem, I think that she is likely to become a writer. Like, you know, I thought maybe she would just be this like damsel character in the first 3 episodes, but now like they're kind of giving her more agency and she's showing up more and she's kind of so confident. She's giving me the vibe of someone who will eventually get some writer powers. So I could see that being true.
I could see that being true, and especially if she's always going to be in the dreams with him. I feel like at some point in one of his dreams, it's going to go to shit for him, and he's going to need help. And the only person that's always there with him that he can trust would be them, and then she can henshin or do whatever she has to do to save the day. But yeah. I think she seems like the most natural one. The lady cop who was a Kamen Rider already, at least for a little bit.
Yep.
I don't think we should rule her. I mean, they're all the main characters, so I guess that's kind of being silly about. But it seems like she'd also be a prime one because she was a common writer before. Like, in fact, like, and granted, it was a different show and everything, but that would be cool if she got a follow up to getting shortchanged on Geats.
Yeah, I would almost say she's more likely than Fujimi for me. Um, I think he's maybe just like a little too like goofy. I think we need characters like him to not be writers in a lot of like we need that character who is like the friend of the writer and who is like a little unserious or like maybe he's really shy or he has some quirk about him. And like that person is almost never a writer themselves. That they just are like the supporting cast. Where she is a little bit more, she fits more kind of the writer frame. But I also I don't think you split those cops up. Like I don't think you give one of them powers and then like what does the other one do? I think they stay probably as just cops the whole time.
I guess the only way that, like, while we're talking about it, the way it could, I would think it would work, if nothing else, if we're saying one cop gets the powers, the other one doesn't. I feel like it makes more sense for him, the main investigator and believer of the spooky things, to stay in the awake world to do the actual investigation and research.
Yeah.
And it would make more sense for her to be I'm going in the dream world because this is like your thing. I'm just backing you up on it kind of thing.
It would be cool having her do it as someone who like barely believes it anyway. Like if she's like, I guess I'm going to the dream world. I don't think it's real, but
keep the Scully thing going.
Yep.
Have him be like, no, like if you henshin go to sleep and go over here, like it's easier for you to go unlock these doors because I know the building like the back of my hand, but I can't just warp. I can't warp behind the doors like you can. Then blah blah. But yeah, like I think you can split them as long as they're working directly together still. In the way I'm kind of explaining of one of them's obviously the wake researcher and the other one's the dream battler kind of thing. Like I feel like that works. Whichever way it decides to go.
Yeah, I could buy into that, I guess. Yeah, that does make sense. Nonetheless, yeah, I'm excited to see who it might be. I feel like the identity of the next writer is like a little bit more up in the air. Could be any of those people pretty equally. Where a lot of seasons it's pretty clear, right? Like it's like, oh, it's probably gonna be that guy. So it's
I
fun.
guess the alternate, the one person I feel like it can't be or won't be is Baku's sister. I feel like she has to be the tie to reality.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think she's probably on the table.
Yeah, like the biggest swerve would be if it was her. I feel like compared to the other ones.
Indeed. Well, our next email comes in from our friend Shade. Shade says, "Wedding Crashers and LA Comic Con." Greetings, everyone, and welcome to case number 4 of Zeztz. This week's a big one because the Zeztz Comic Con panel happened last weekend, and we have some exciting stuff to cover. But first up, Shades gives us some behind-the-scenes photos from the producer's blog this week. The best of which is the cast hanging out on one of those miniature sets where all the Zords fight. So it's just like seemingly giant people behind the little buildings, and it's very fun.
Awesome.
And then Shade says another detail that's super interesting is this shot with Baku walking through a background with all of his missions. So it's like the names of the missions are sort of like floating behind him. Shade says we don't know if all of them.
That was in the intro thing too. We officially got the intro this time. We'll do this real quick. It's so slick looking. I think it's like this. The song is extremely good. I think the visuals they have tied to the opening this year just make it feel almost like more hype, but just puts you in the right zone of what's about to happen, and you can tell it's kind of serious. Like it's almost like a James Bond intro where at the end, like he's doing cool, slick spy things. He turns at the camera at the end kind of deal. But I thought it all worked. It was all pretty. I thought it was all pretty good. And then at one point, they have a scene where all of the cases kind of fast scroll behind him, behind Baku.
Mhm.
and I was debating trying to take screenshots and figure out the cases because out of curiosity of all the things that they're going to pitch throughout the season actually going to be back here now, which I'm pretty sure they are because it seems like they're like doing little hints. But I thought it was cool. I think the way they did that whole thing looked really good this year.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that. And now that I've heard the song several times, like watching this through a couple times and all that stuff, and with the visuals, I'm very, very on board with it. The song's super great. I love the English in the song. It's very catchy. And obviously, speaking English a little bit easier to like sing along with and stuff. Like it has a bit more hooks in my brain because of that. And yeah, it's a banger. Like they're known for churning out. But speaking of those missions, Shade does give us a list of the missions that are in that intro, compiled from a list online. He says, so if you're curious, there definitely are ones we've already done. So like protect the VIP bride is here. So that does seem to indicate that maybe these are ones we'll see in the show. So we have save the target, stop the bomber, protect the VIP bride, destroy the biological weapons, escape
I
with
just
all
did that one too.
yeah, escape with all the prisoners, prevent the meteor strike, which is great, eliminate the enemy, hack the cybersecurity, detoxify the hazardous chemicals, decipher the code, infiltrate the core of the global company, steal the slush fund, clear out the snipers, develop the nano machines, analyze the recordings, surveillance camera footage, expose the traitor, intercept the transmission, and finally spread the information that benefits our side. Some of those are like weirdly specific that I think they have to be in the show,
Oh, yeah.
or at least are hints to things that might be coming up in the show. Obviously, I know that they don't necessarily have the entire plot of the show written when they're making these intros, and like sometimes they're working backwards. Like we talked about the scene in Geats with the guns, right? That's one that like they put it in there because it was like a cool visual, and then the story they sort of morphed to get to that point in the story too, right? So the visual came first, and then it happened in the story, which might be the case here. Maybe they just brainstormed a bunch of fun mission ideas, and now they're going to try to use as many as they can. But there are certainly some that feel like, okay, you have to be thinking of a story beat that you have planned to come up with this. Like infiltrate the core of the global company or spread the information that benefits our side. Feel like
I didn't say like the steal the slush funds one is crazy too. That
one
seems
too.
that's hyper specific. I feel like of all of them.
Certainly fun to read all those for sure. Shade says, next up, we learned more about our VIP bride. When they called and asked her to play a role in Kamen Rider, where she's a bride in a dream world with Kamen Riders fighting to protect her, she answered, "I've done this before." That's because she previously played the new masked Belle Poitrin in Kamen Rider Wizard and Forza's crossover film. So she already has played a bride in Kamen Rider. That's awesome. During the 2010s, Toei wanted to revive some of their older tokusatsu properties by doing crossovers with Kamen Rider and Sentai, and among some of those properties is Poetry. I'm probably pronouncing that horribly wrong. I've never heard it before, unfortunately. Poetry is one of the very first magical girl tokusatsu shows and is one of the major installments for major inspirations for Sailor Moon. So yeah, the more you know. Shade says, before we cover the big news, there's a slightly smaller news I'd like to cover. Hiroshi Fujikaka, aka the first Kamen Rider, will reprise his role in the anime Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider. Just as a small appearance, the real Kamen Rider won't actually be a part of the main characters. They've also announced that the anime will be getting 24 episodes, which is pretty shocking. Barely any anime gets 24 episodes these days, so the series getting that many is certainly surprising. Yeah, I'm excited to check that out. Shade says, now for the big news, the Kamen Rider panel at LA Comic-Con. We had a bunch of photos from it. I don't know if you saw any of the photos, Toby, of the booth and stuff.
No, not really. I mean, I saw like one or two things, but I didn't look too much at all of that just because we weren't there getting thrown out.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty decent size. It's not like super, so there are sometimes these booths at these places that like become little little houses all to themselves and like have multiple rooms, and it's kind of like crazy. This isn't that, but like they do have a pretty fairly large booth, and it has all the art from Zeztz and the various different Capsum forms and stuff. And then they have basically every Henshin belt that they've ever really sold is on display. Like you can see like all the different heroes going back through all the different shows, which is neat. And they have, I think from Kuga on, I think they have every single one from what I can tell. They also have a big wall that is just like every Kamen Rider ever, and it's this massive like group photo, which is kind of neat to take pictures in front of. I've seen a bunch of cosplayers taking pictures in front of it and stuff, which is cool. Shade says at the booth they had a voting board for everyone's favorite Kamen Rider series. Funny story, Kamen Rider Build was bombarded with so many votes that Japanese fans were surprised at how popular Build is overseas. So let me see if I can make this image a little bit bigger so we can find what the popular ones are. So
I'm surprised we acknowledged that Build made it over here. How anyone would have ever saw that show.
Yeah, this is very like wink wink nudge nudge, because it's it's like, how would anyone know about Kamen Rider? Like Build's not one of the official releases necessarily. Like you're allowed to like Kuga, you're allowed to like 01 and a couple others. That's kind of it. But yeah, Build is a solid red mass of dots basically from the voting. X-Aid's pretty popular, it looks like.
Good.
Geats is pretty popular, it looks like. Gotchard only has 3 little dots. Sad Gotchard. No one likes it. Gav is pretty popular as well. And some of the older ones are pretty big. So like Ryuki has a ton. Kuga has a ton. Let's see what, like Agito, Decade has a lot, and Double has maybe as many as Build, but like spaced out a little bit further. So that one probably is extra popular because of the anime that's happening. So I bet a lot of people have like gone back and rediscovered Double because of that. But yeah, that's the breakdown. So that's neat to see. People, it's always interesting seeing like the air quotes real world thoughts about these shows.
Again, especially because it was here. I think that's what makes it more interesting, that it was the American party or like the United States party of the thing that we're not supposed to know about.
Absolutely.
And all the things that happen with it.
The Shade says at the con there was also another special guest, Iron Mouse, which we know who that is. Shade says one of the most popular streamers and VTubers on Twitch was invited to the event. Mouse is a huge Kamen Rider and Toku fan, and the higher ups of Kamen Rider took notice of that. She streamed the entire panel live on her Twitch and even got to meet and talk with the producer of Zeztz. Shade says highly recommend watching her POV of the event because it is the most live footage we have of the panel and booth. That's cool. Like I've definitely seen multiple videos of her having Connor buy her like various Kamen Rider toys and stuff to ship to her. So like I definitely have known of her as being a big Kamen Rider fan. So it's very cool that she got to do that, and it's cool also that they took notice of her, right? Like it shows that they are a little aware of sort of what's going on in the English speaking world as it pertains to Kamen Rider to know to invite her, which I think is a really good sign. Shade says now to the panel with producer Yannicka. I will be summarizing some main points for the interview. Some of the questions we've already covered in the interview from last time, so I won't be covering them this time. I highly suggest watching the full thing. I'm mainly writing this as discussion points for the show. So the first question was, is Zeztz being released? Oh, sorry. Zeztz is being released simultaneously. How was the reaction to that? The reactions have been amazing, he said. We've had a lot of people saying, finally, we've been waiting for this across the world. Everyone's cheering us on. Thanks so much. Yeah, so basically all positive stuff. Question is, could you tell us how much does the staff have overseas audiences in mind while producing Kamen Rider Zeztz? This is a question that you and I had. The answer is, for Zeztz specifically, it's been in our mind since day one. during our planning, and it still is continuing to today. Of course, in Japan, we have a main audience, which are the kids, so we have that in mind first and foremost. However, for our international audience, we do have 2 specific points. One, especially for our international audience who've been waiting for Kamen Rider to officially come over to the international stage, we wanted to make sure that we still keep that aspect of Japan's tokusatsu filming culture and bring it to Western audiences. And 2, we also wanted to make sure that we incorporate new audiences to the Kamen Rider franchise. We really wanted to make sure that even if this is your first time watching the show, you'll understand the culture and worldview of Kamen Rider and the reason why it's such a big franchise. We want to make sure whether you're an old fan or a new fan, you can still very much enjoy the show. So I think we predicted most of that, right? Like the idea that this is a show that kind of is sort of in theme, kind of back to basics in Kamen Rider in a lot of ways, right? Like it's not like a bunch of crazy forms. It's not a weird off the wall reimagining of Kamen Rider. It's just sort of like it's a dude in a suit when you get down to it.
Who's basically 007, which is a universal global whatever concept. I'm just excited that my main question after that first week was, did they know that they were making this for the world, or did they find out post season planning, whatever? So it feels good that I now have it confirmed that they said we need to we're making this specifically for the world, and that's why a lot of the things are the way that they are.
Yep, exactly. He goes on to talk about that, and then the next question says basically it was decided internally from the start that they wanted this to be an homage to the original Kamen Rider at its core, but with a new updated or remade look for modern audiences. I think the biggest point is the belt on the chest. This is a slightly new take on the design of Kamen Rider that was initially suggested by the designer for the team. I had my first glance at it and thought, dang, that's cool. We got to stick to this. And that's how it came to be. The next question is, what aspect of zeztz do you want the fans in the US to pay attention to? He said, I have 2 points. One, when it comes to the design, we wanted to make sure it doesn't lose its touch when it comes to the original Kamen Rider series, but we still wanted to modernize the design a bit so that people in the Western audience would relate more to Western superheroes, which we guessed. And 2, I mentioned this earlier, but we did want to make an homage to all the past Rider series. So as you watch throughout the show, be sure to let us know if you can spot any Easter eggs or little callbacks to some of the previous series. Question, are we going to get more bike scenes in zeztz? And plenty more to come is the answer, which is awesome. And then another question, as a producer of the franchise, what will the franchise be in the future? The answer is, with Kamen Rider, it's a bit different from your standard Marvel Avengers superheroes. From this point on, we hope to continue the simulcast of the upcoming series so that everyone can continue to watch and follow the show. Going into my personal dream, I think it would be really cool if we could have a global Kamen Rider expansion. So we have our own Japanese Kamen Riders, but what if we had a Brazilian Kamen Rider or an American Kamen Rider, etc.? I think that would be really cool. I mentioned this before.
I think that's where it falls apart again.
I agree. I mentioned this before, but it's my first time being here with all of you and coming up to me with all these comments, this passion and energy I'm feeling from everyone. That's what keeps the franchise alive. We need more of that. So if we continue on with these we want to continue on with these simulcasts and international releases. We hope you guys will continue to raise your voice and support us. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the charm of Kamen Rider is that it's Japanese. It's like, right? I mean, like, I don't want anime from America necessarily. That's not what I'm coming to this for.
I feel like if we're saying just to specifically do our country, like if we're making American Kamen Rider again, then we're making Master Rider again, and that's when it all went to shit last time.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, the Marvelization of this seems like the worst timeline.
Oh God, yeah. Please avoid that at all costs. Like, I like tokusatsu as a concept, almost in spite of like the modern idea of the superhero movie, right? Because it's much more like low to the ground. It's like it's cheaper, much more practical effects in these shows, and yeah, it's like a little bit like grittier and less precious, and there's so much about like the modern concept of the Marvel movie that I don't want to have applied to Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
And then some bonus fan questions that came up on the show. During the screening of the Kamen Rider double movie in zeztz, I've seen a lot of people who never heard of Kamen Rider come watch it, and once they're done, they're clamoring for more. What do you think it is about the series that can get new fans to immediately become interested like that? And the answer is, I think you just need to push what you like most about the Kamen Rider series to get that passion and energy out there, and I think that'll convince people. He says, before he joined the company, Kamen Rider was something I didn't exactly grow up on because it wasn't airing on TV at the time. So I didn't have much experience with it, but since I joined the division, I've had so many of my superiors tell me about their experience with the franchise, what they like, what they enjoy the most, what they hope for in the future, and that's how I present it to you now. So just push on what you like the most about it, and that will garner a lot more fans. And then the final question, what has been the most difficult part about filming the show? I think it has to be differentiating between dreams and reality. Not just while we're filming, but even during the editing process as well. Hope you guys are getting the differences too. And then final message, looking forward to Kamen Rider franchise. It's my great honor to be here with Zeztz and all you today. Please keep enjoying Zeztz, and thank you very much. So that's awesome that they even are highlighting, like, yeah, like we had to figure out the ways to differentiate the dream world and the reality, which we've talked about a lot.
Yep. And I'll say it seems like it's working. We have at least cracked ideas of, hey, we noticed this thing, we noticed this thing, we're doing this. So I'll assume that we're keeping up the way we're supposed to be.
I think so. Yeah. Also, this is telling me that you and I should have just hosted this panel. We had all the questions ready. We'd been discussing them for weeks. Like, put us in, coach. We're here.
we could have answered for him.
Exactly. Awesome. Shade, thanks very much for breaking that stuff down for easy discussion here. Thanks, as always, for all of your emails and write-ups. Once again, cast@kamenridersucks.com is that email address if you want to send in an email about anything at all. Especially, if you're watching Zeztz, if this is maybe your first foray into Kamen Rider, write in. Let us know how that's going, how you're liking it, what your expectations were going in, and kind of if they've held true, or if you found new things out. I'd love to hear that perspective for sure. All right. Well, Toby, I think that is going to wrap up our episode for today. Why don't you tell the people where they can find you on the internet?
On Twitter, it's Life of Tobes. On YouTube, it's Tobes Plays. And on Retro Achievements, it's Tobes Plays as well.
You can find me over on Blue Sky. I am at meek.lol there. And the show is also on Blue Sky at kamenridersucks.com. If you want to follow to get all of our latest episode postings and Patreon postings, that's where that stuff gets broadcast out. And we'd also love it if you would follow the show, like the show, thumbs it up, leave it a review, whatever you can do to interact with it is a big help. I think there's even that new YouTube thing where you can like promote a video. Anything along those lines is fantastic. Telling a friend is great. All that stuff's very good. You guys are awesome. And we can all grow Kamen Rider together. So we'll be back next time to talk about episode 5. We're just rolling on here with Zeztz. And we do hope you join us back for that. But in the meantime, have a great week, everybody. Peace.